In this video, I will explain use reducer hook. So this is a use reducer. It accepts reducer, initial state, and the init. So basically, we normally use reducer and initial state, and it kind of destructuring. It give this state is the initial state, and dispatch tells like what type of action you want to dispatch. And reducer accept two things, state and action. It gives the new state, and it is a similar with redux, and it is also an alternative to use state. So basically use reducer used for complex state management. Like you have used reducer usually prefer to use state when you have a complex state logic that involves multiple sub values, or when the next state depends on the previous one. Use reducer also lets you optimize performance for components that trigger deep updates, because you can pass dispatch down instead of callback. So these two things you should remember. A reducer is a basically pure function. It accepts the previous state and action, give the new state. Right. So we will see with an example. So this is an example. We will see with an example. Basically, in this example, you can see that this is reducer, use reducer hook, and it is accepting reducer, its initial state, and this is initial. So it like kind of destructuring. And so this is the state, this is dispatch. So its state means initial state means 0, and dispatch tells like what type of action you want to dispatch. And the reducer is accept state and action on switch, then action dot type, then it is like case increment. So return count state dot count plus 1, this way. So we will see with an example. Import use reducer from React, right? So import and const state comma dispatch equals to use reducer, and so it will accept a reducer use reducer, it is a reducer comma initial state, and we can put initial state const initial state, suppose 0, and now we will define the function of uh, const. We will define the function reducer const reducer. हम यहाँ पे define करते हैं reducer, right? And switch, we will mention here action dot type हम यहाँ मेंशन करेंगे action dot type. Okay, action dot, okay, action dot type action dot. So it accept reduces a state comma action. Now we match case, suppose it's increment, then we will just do return state plus 1. Suppose a case of decrement, we will return state minus 1. So this we can answer, right? And default, we will return a state. So we have defined a reducer. It is taking two things, state and action, and then use the switch action dot type. So it is designing like case increment as a decrement case. Now here we will decide like first state. So state is initial state is 0, right? So this state and this, so this is 0. Like if you mention 10, so it would be 10. Here it would be 10. Right, so state 10. So 0, so it's a 0. Now define the button. We will make two buttons. The first one is increment button, then another one decrement button. And we will mention on click event. On click event, we will mention here dispatch, call the dispatch method. In dispatch method, we will define the type, what type of action it is. Suppose we mention here, it is a type of increment, right? Same here, we will mention here on click event, we will decide, okay, in this on click event, we will decide dispatch. In the object, we will mention like what kind of action. So it is a kind of decrement. So we have this is initial state, and we have just made two button plus increment decrement, and with the dispatch, this is arrow function, and so we have dispatch method, type increment and type decrement. Mention the type is it basically mention that what kind of action you want to perform. So if you check, so initially 0, then it's incrementing, and this is decrementing, right? So this way you can use the useReducer hook in your application. If you change the state is 10 and just refresh, so it is now incrementing from 10 and just decrementing. So this way you can just make sure make the useReducer hook. You just import the useReducer hook from React and just use it, just take reducer initial state. So just specify the state, so it would initial, then dispatch method, and just mention the reducer function. So it take a state and action, and the switch is the action dot type. Then you will mention the case increment, case decrement, and default return statement. Initial state 10, and just this is initial state. Just make two buttons. Here is a callback function. On click event, just mention callback function, dispatch method call, and mention the type of action you want to perform here. So this is a useReducer hook in React.